Since we're still in the spirit of very boldly discussing sexual assault and femicide, today I wanted to talk about consent. But I want to approach it from a side of how you need to trust your intuition and you need to trust your body and you need to be able to listen to yourself so that you can make a connection between your body and your mind. That intuition never ever lies to you. And I want to talk about how using this will help you escape situations that you don't want to be in. It will help you communicate better with yourself and even with the people around you or your sexual partner. And just how all of that ties into having a better sexual experience that absolutely guarantees you better orgasms. I wanted to talk about consent and everything surrounding consent earlier, but I didn't know how I was going to frame this conversation so that I can make it a bit fun and interesting. It's around 6 a.m. I haven't slept because I've been working throughout the night, but that's because I slept also Jana the whole day. So it's kind of me paying back. I can hear people waking up right now going to work. And I remember when I had an 8 to 5 job and I used to be so miserable every time 6 a.m. ilikuwa inafika. But saizi I'm just in my living room recording this podcast and then I'll make myself a cup of chamomile tea and then I'll go and fall asleep. And I'll wake up later to do some editing for some articles. And then I'll go visit my mom for the weekend. So, all that to say that I really, really like my life. And I'm so happy and proud of myself for being able to trust my intuition. And trusting my intuition has actually always put me in situations that have made me proud of myself. But before you understand what trusting your intuition is, you fuck up a few times because it stems from not having confidence in yourself, not being able to make decisions that help you become a better person. And this is because mostly of our childhood traumas. We grew up in situations where trust wasn't really bestowed upon us. Kwanza kama you are a perfect child, utapata, ama you are in a strict household, utapata, most of your life was always planned. You're told everything, what to do, where to go, how to do it. And then you're thrown out into the world. You don't know how to make decisions. You don't know how to trust yourself. You don't know how to trust your intuition. You don't know. So your body and your mind never has direct communication, which means you find it even difficult to have basic communication with yourself. So when you're in such a situation, it's very, very hard to make decisions for yourself. And it's simple decisions such as even having a healthier diet or giving up unhealthy habits. It seems like it can be an easy thing to do, but sometimes it takes a lot more mental stimulation and self discipline for you to get to a point where all these things are able to be interconnected and then your body and your mind are in tandem with each other. So I always say this ever since I was before the age of 25, I feel like every sexual experience I had was mostly coerced or very unintentional. I don't think I was grown up enough to give consent like enthusiastically. I think all the times I ever accepted to have sex was because either I had a boyfriend and that's what you do when you have a boyfriend, or I don't know because yani, I didn't know what I was doing. I can't say I was actively participating in the sex. And after I went past 25 years old, I started having more conscious sex, like more intentional sex. But even then, my confidence wasn't always up there. Like, I wasn't always able to say no confidently. And I would still sometimes fall for coercion. Or sometimes I'd find myself in situations with people who I knew for sure didn't like me, but I still gave myself to them because yani sikukuwa tu najitrust, sikukuwa najua kujibonga. Around this time was when I started exploring like why I get these feelings of unworthiness, or like every time I have sex I feel like my self-esteem goes down. I was wondering like what is it? Where does this feeling stem from? So other than other reasons that I won't discuss today, I figured out that I wasn't in situations that were fully consensual. Like sikukuwa najipeana nikitaka, nilikuwa tu najipata kwa situations zenye zinani force ni have sex. And it made me have to cut back on a lot of these situations, a lot of these people, a lot of anything that gave me the feeling that I wasn't supposed to be here and I did not want to have sex with this person. You know, when you start figuring out new things about yourself, you kind of start grieving your old self because you start feeling a lot of shame. Okay, I started feeling a lot of shame and guilt for a lot of the things that I let happen to me, let in quotes, happen to me or I allowed for. But along the way, I started learning how to forgive myself and how to start over afresh as many times as I can because hii yote ni learning process. To be honest, if you don't even know you're being coerced or if you don't know how important consent is to you, it's kind of difficult to know what to look out for or what to ask for. So something that I always noticed was anytime I had like when I was in love with someone, when I was into someone, the sex was kind of I was actively participating. I loved it. But when we'd break up and then we'd start with like ile sex ya tumeachana tuna hiyo tu kuko kwa hiyo limbo ya before you move on to the next person or whatever you decide next. The sex doesn't hit the same as like when there's an emotional connection and when you're in love. Okay, I'm speaking for myself. I'm just speaking about it in third person so that it's not a me kind of conversation so that you can feel included as a listener. So this is what prompted me to start doing investigations on myself sexually to understand like where all these feelings come from. You know, I do a lot of introspection and I love to ask myself a lot of questions, especially about how I feel about experiences after experiences or how someone made me feel. And I realized like other than the lack of an emotional connection, sikuko 100% into it. And did you know your body is able to tell you when you're not feeling the sex? I was having this conversation with my friend a few months ago and she was telling me about how she went back to her ex as well and they had some okay, podcasters. You tell them a story and then one day unajisikia tu kwa story. A friend of mine. That's what you signed up for when you decide to be friends with a podcaster. Of course, all anonymity is preserved. So my friend was telling me, you know, she had sex with this guy, but she felt so much pain, and this is someone she was dating for a while. But this time the sex was just different. It was so painful. She was unable to like enjoy. It was ilikuwa too different na ilikuwa chungu sana. She thought she had a problem with herself. So immediately she booked an appointment with a gyna and she went in and got checked and everything was fine. Unajua mpaka unaanza kuambiwa oh sijui nini nini nini, but later on she had sex with someone else that she liked and someone that she was now very interested in and the sex was amazing. And this new guy was bigger than the last. Okay, not I don't know. I don't know. Let me not say that information. So you know, we were talking about it, and I found some similarities with my stories because such things have happened to me, and I didn't believe it until I had sex also, and it was with someone from my past, and the sex was so fucking painful. It wasn't natural. I was horny, and I decided, whatever, let him just give me the dick, no strings attached, nothing. It's just for fun. And the sex was so unbearable. I barely enjoyed it. It was painful. I had to concentrate so much to calm. Like it was taking a lot of my energy to even want to participate in the sex because I was spending time running away from that dick. Every single zote zilikuwa uchungu. And months before this guy, I had sex with someone who was way bigger, like way, 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 way. And because I really, really was into that guy, like I really liked him. I was very emotionally attached, and the sex was amazing. It was the best sex I ever had. So we're just comparing notes like, okay, tumeenda kwa gyna, hakuna anything ina indicate ati tuko na shida internal. So how come when we're having sex with guys we like, this experience is so different from someone who like you're not into, like you're forced to settle because of circumstances. Yani you're not 100% into it. Either you've had the sex because the dick is there or yani hakuna connection. So we were discussing and then it it was kind of a like eureka moment, like, oh my God, so this is what is happening. And I started to do my research on, can your body be rejecting a partner? And yes, your body, because you're an animal, of course you have the normal responses to trauma, such as fight, flight, or freeze. And kitambo, like now when I was below 25, when a man would beg and beg and beg and coerce me and say, and beg, let's just go home, just go home with me, go home. And you say no so many times to the point that you're unable to keep saying no, I would fall into this situation where I just freeze. And I think this still happens to me. That's why I had to decide to stop having sex with people I'm not emotionally attached to, people I have no connections with. And I just freeze. Yani, I freeze in bed. I'm unable to move. Niki for chamende. I'm unable to do anything. I'm not sure. Yani, I'm not sure. But when it's someone I love, there's so much enthusiasm. Like I'm actively participating. I'm kissing them, touching them, loving on them, speaking to them. I'm so into the sex. But when it's not like that, it's not a situation that makes me feel safe, I just freeze. And it's kind of like I let them or they just take charge of the situation and kind of have their way with me. It's not a nice feeling because afterwards you start overthinking, like, why didn't I move? Will he think I'm bad at sex? Why was I so scared? Why was I so anxious? What's wrong? What was happening? You blah blah blah, all these questions. And I realized, Kumbe, this was my body's language in a way to read if I'm giving 100% consent. And I did not know. So I realized that for me to have a fulfilling sexual experience, I have to have feelings of being seen and feelings of being sure that I want to be there 100%. There's no 2% chance that I'm not sure. I have to 100% to be there. Sometimes this fight or flight being activated is caused by stress when you think about sex, or feelings of, fear that it will be unsatisfactory. And this is a direct uh, correlation to you not having orgasms, you not having satisfying sex. And that's why munasikianga madem mara mob wanashindwa communicate during sex, and then they end up faking the sex, like with the leg shakes and the loud moans and the shaking, however way women like to pretend they're coming, just so that you can finish and get off of her. And we need to get to a point where we're not doing this anymore, because sex has to be enjoyable for everyone. It has to be enjoyable for the women as well. Sex shouldn't feel like something that's being done to us, rather something that like we're doing together, something we want to do. And the feelings of safety and comfort really changia a lot in giving you peace of mind for you to be able to achieve orgasms. So when your body is rejecting the wrong partner, I say the wrong partner to mean that this person could be actually a good person. It doesn't have to be they're not a good person. They could be a model person that you want to have sex with. But for as long as your body is giving you signals that maybe you don't feel safe enough, ama you're not supposed to be here, ama you're not 100% sure about the sex because you have anxiety all of a sudden, or you just feel something is wrong, it's so important that you're able to listen to yourself. Proving the communication between your body and your mind will improve the way you read your intuition. It'll improve the way you read such signals. And instead of ignoring, you're going to be much more conscious about your sexual partner for you, so that you're able to um, enjoy a better sexual relationship. So, if you've ever been in a situation where you're feeling like you're not sure, you're not 100%, please listen to your body. Do not betray yourself. Sometimes I truly believe, as a spiritual person, I truly believe your body can even notice if, let's say, the other person is trying to give you an STD. And you feel something, you feel this person is not being 100. But if you ignore and if you just move past it and say, oh, it's okay. And sometimes it's not an STD. Some people have fungus all over their balls, all over their vagina. Some people have STIs, infections all around their ass, all around their pubic area, and they do not know because they do not check. They just scratch their skin, but they've never got screened, they've never got tested. So imagine your body is sounding all these alarms, all these red flags, and you're just ignoring. Sometimes your vagina will just close up and refuse to accommodate him. And or sometimes when he's inside you, it's so painful. Or sometimes you don't get wet at all. Or sometimes as a man, you don't get hard. You're struggling. Like usually it's so easy for you, but in this moment, you're really, really struggling. I know there can be other factors that are external, but within this sexual relationship that you're in with your partner, you guys should be able to have the conversation that allows for the both of you to feel safe enough. Also, so that the other person does not feel rejected sexually. Sometimes you're sick, sometimes you have a headache, sometimes you're not horny and your partner is horny. So if you're rejecting them without even realizing that you're doing it, it can make your sexual partner feel rejected. And maybe they're really really in the mood, and then you see it puts them in a situation where they start feeling like now they have to coerce you for sex. First of all, no one should coerce anyone for sex, but I mean, like, they feel like they're sending out their advances and you're not communicating, you're not being able to tell them the truth about how you feel. That's why having such conversations is very important, so that even discussions like sexual rejection and how to handle it can be brought about. It's important for you and your sexual partner to be able to listen to each other, to be open to discussion. Remember, no coercion, no guilt tripping ati wewe wiki mzima umekataa kulala na mimi. No, you're supposed to be very, very willing to listen, willing to be patient and kind, because sex is actually such a big issue. One wrong move and it can be termed as rape. Forcing someone to have sex with you, even if they're your wife, your husband, even if you've been having sex every day for 20 years and today they say no, even if they're naked on top of you and they have not given a resounding yes and 100% yes. And sometimes yes doesn't have to be words, it can just be their body language, how they're acting around you. That's why you should be able to read cues. Saa ingine unashika mtu na anatan mwili ama they're turning their body away from you, they don't want you to touch them, they don't want you to kiss them. Do not force, do not insist. You need to be very very aware to make sure that your partner wants you 100%, for the sex to be amazing, for the both of you to be able to enjoy it, rather than one person feeling like it was taken from them and the other person feeling like they had to beg or coerce or negotiate to have sex. Sex is supposed to be free, willing, open, and a discussion before it is had. Personally, I find it very, very attractive when people ask me for consent. Can I kiss you? Can I touch you? Can I hold your hand? Can I hug you? Can I eat you out? Can I fuck you? Can I? The last time I had sex, this guy, we did foreplay for hours, hours. And it reached a point he said, I'm not putting my dick inside you until you beg me, until you ask me for it. Such things just really turn me on, because it's like he's trying to make sure nimefika point I need to be for me to even want him. Like he needs to be 100% sure my body wants him. Not just my mouth saying yes, it's my body showing all the signs that I'm safe, I'm comfortable, and I want him. I've also had sex with people who they totally ignored that I was saying no. They totally ignored that I was not comfortable. They totally ignored that my body was frozen and I was just sitting there unable to respond, because they coerced me. You feel so much fear when someone has coerced you into sex. It doesn't matter how old you are, because, especially with men, the option of being unalived is always there. So it's scary, and it's just a lot to take in. So please, for you to improve your sexual relationship, just ensure that you allow for your body and your mind to coexist so that they can make decisions together. Apply your intuition. Allow your body to tell you how it feels about this person that you're about to have sex with, or this environment that you're about to go hang out in, or just anything pertaining to anything that you intend to do. Take care of your body, take care of yourself, because this overall is going to be reflected by the kind of sex you have. If you're taking care of yourself, your body, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, And I mean by using condoms always, it's always going to reflect in the kind of sexual life you're going to have. Sexual hygiene involve all these things. So please take care of yourself and love yourself and be kind to yourself and use condoms. Toodles.